Hi, I'm Jean Boone from the Central Branch of the Howard County Library System. Thanks for joining me today for Fairytale Engineering. Today we're going to learn a little bit about how engineers solve problems by listening to the classic story of the three billy goats Gruff, and then helping them solve their problem with the mean old troll. So this class is designed for ages 5 to 8. It's pre-recorded, so you can pause anytime you need to, or stop and go back and finish at a different time. A little later, we're going to be doing an activity. And when we get to that point, if you want to pause and gather the materials you need to do it along with me, that's fine. Or you can just watch all the way through and do the activity at your convenience later. So, what is an engineer? Well, engineers are people who use what they know about how things work to solve a problem, to invent or build or create something new. Now, engineers use math and science to solve problems, but they use imagination and creativity too. It takes a lot of imagination to think of new and better ways to do things. So what kinds of things might an engineer make? Do you have some ideas? Engineers help to design buildings, airplanes, bridges, new ways of growing food, new ways of creating medicines. They can help us protect the environment and think of new ways to save energy. They build computers and computer software. They build machines and tools. Engineers are involved in all kinds of things. Do you know anybody who is an engineer? Well, even if you don't know somebody who does engineering for their job, I'm sure you know some people who do engineering. In fact, I'm an engineer, sort of. Let me show you what engineering feat I had to accomplish to get ready for this class. I had a problem, which was that my sign over here was too tall for the easel. And when I tried to prop it up, it kept flopping over. So I had to solve that problem. Do you know what I used? I used a yardstick and some tape. Tape, it turns out, is very helpful for your everyday engineer like me. Let me show you how it worked. Can you see that? Here's my yardstick sticking up and a lot of painter's tape holding it all together. And this way, now it can stand up, hopefully, so everyone can see it. Have you done engineering like that at home sometime? I bet you have. Think about some problems you've had to solve. Have you ever had something, one of your toys or belongings break, and you had to figure out a way to fix it? Maybe you used tape or glue, or you figured out how to patch something up with another piece that you had that belonged to something different. Maybe you've had a problem like you need to get something that's way up high, too far for you to reach, like a book on the top shelf. How could you get that down? Well, when you think about what's a good tool to use or a good way to use the things around you to get to that book, you're doing engineering. Do you have some ideas about that problem? Did you think of a ladder? A ladder would be a good way to do it. Well, what else? Maybe you could invent a robotic arm that would reach all the way up to the top. Or maybe you could just grab a broom handle and whack it. So engineering solutions can be very complicated or very simple, and it all depends on what you have at hand around you to work with and what kind of problem you need to solve. So do you think if we are all engineers in one way or another, could a billy goat be an engineer? That's a good question. Seems unlikely, doesn't it? Well, I'm going to tell you the story of the three billy goats Gruff, and then you can decide if any of these billy goats were engineers in the way they dealt with their problems. Now, you've probably heard many versions. This story has been around for a long, long time, and I'm sure you've heard it. There are many versions out there. And the story, the version I'm going to tell you is sort of a mashup of several. One I particularly like is this one that you can request from the library. It's called The Three Billy Goats Fluff, and it's by Rachel Mortimer. And she adds a fun little twist in this story that you might get a hint of in my version. All right. Let's see, are you ready? So, once upon a time, there were three Billy Goats Gruff. Oh yes, they were all named Gruff, all three of them. And they lived on a rocky hillside with their mother. Let's imagine that's their house right there. Now, in front of their hillside, there ran a beautiful rushing river. And on the other side of the river, there was another hill, but this one was green and grassy. And you're going to have to imagine that because my green marker ran out of ink. So here's the beautiful green grass on the other side of the river. Now the Billy Goats wanted to get across to the other side to eat the beautiful green grass. And luckily, there was a bridge that went from their house over the river to the other side. There it is. But the bad news is that under that bridge lived a mean, grumpy troll. Trolls are not usually very nice. This one was especially angry. And he did not like noise. He liked to be able to live under his bridge in peace and quiet. But the Billy Goats one day decided they were going to cross the bridge to eat the green grass on the other side. So the first little Billy Goat started across the bridge. And his little feet went like this. Trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap, as he headed over the bridge. "Who's that trip-trapping across my bridge?" yelled the troll. "It is I, the littlest Billy Goat Gruff," said the little Billy Goat. "I'm going to eat green grass on the other side of the bridge." "Oh, no, you're not. I'm going to gobble you up," said the mean old troll. "Oh, don't eat me," said the clever little Billy Goat. "Wait for the next Billy Goat Gruff. He's much bigger than I am." "Well, go on then, but don't make so much noise. Your trip-traps make my ears snap." So the little Billy Goat went as quickly and quietly trip-trap, trip-trap, trip-trap over the bridge as he could. A few minutes later, along came the second Billy Goat Gruff. This one was a little bigger, and his feet made a little louder sound when they trip-trap, 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 trip-trap over the bridge. "Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge?" thundered the mean old troll. "It is I, the second Billy Goat Gruff," said Billy Goat. "I'm going to eat the good green grass on the other side of the bridge." "Oh, no, you're not. I'm going to gobble you up," said the old troll. "Oh, don't eat me," said the second Billy Goat. "You should wait for the third Billy Goat Gruff. She's much bigger than I am. It'll be a much better meal." "Oh, well, go on then, but don't make so much noise. Your trip-traps make my ears snap." So the second Billy Goat ran over to the end of the bridge and into the nice green grass. A few minutes later, who came along but the third Billy Goat Gruff? And she was very big and very strong and very loud on the bridge. Trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap. "Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge?" The troll leaped up onto the bridge just as the Billy Goat was trip-trapping, and snap, crack, the bridge broke right into, and that troll fell into the water while the biggest billy goat leaped over onto the hillside. Well, that billy goat who was expecting, or that troll who was expecting to eat a very large billy goat, was mad. He was hungry and defeated and irritated in the water. And the big billy goat had escaped, but the billy goats had a problem too, because they were trapped over here on the far side of the bridge with no way to get back to their home. What were they going to do? Everybody was in a pickle. But luckily, the billy goat's mother, who was back at home, was a very clever goat. She was not only very smart, she was also a very good knitter. And she came up with an idea. She saw the problem that had occurred outside her door, and she called over to the mad troll and to the trapped billy goats on the other side of the river and said, "Why don't you all work together to build a new bridge across the river? And if you do, I will knit some new fluffy soft slippers for all my billy goat kids. And then when they walk across the bridge, their feet won't make loud trip-trapping sounds, but just soft little fluffy sounds. And the troll will not get upset and will not have snapping ears." How does that sound? Well, they all said, "Let's get to work." And everyone's problems were solved. How did you like that version of the story? I think the mother goat was in fact an engineer, wasn't she? She solved the problem with some materials. Maybe she's a materials engineer. She figured out how to use her soft, fluffy yarn to solve that trip-trapping problem that was making the troll so angry. And if the goats had soft slippers on their feet and didn't annoy the troll, then everybody could live happily together. But of course, they do still need to rebuild that bridge. So let's see if we can help them figure out the best way to make a new bridge from one side of the river to the other. Now to do that, we're going to need a few different things. The first thing we're going to need is the 6 steps of engineering. Now, engineers like to do things in a methodical way. And the 6 steps of engineering are just a series of steps to use to make sure you come up with the best solution to a problem. So let's see, let me show you what they are. Number 1, state the problem. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What do you have to do? Step 2, make a plan. That means you're going to brainstorm and think about all the possible ways you could solve this problem and what are the good things and bad things about each possible design. Think about what kinds of materials you have available to use. And think about what specific conditions of your problem your design might need to address. When you've picked the best design you can think of, the next step is, number 3, build. So you gather the things all the materials you need and you put it all together. And after you've built your design, step 4 is test. You have to find out if it's going to work or not. So you try it out. You put it under all the conditions that you have and see if it works or not. Now, if your test fails, are you done? Are you defeated? Is that the end? Oh, no, absolutely not. A test is just one part of the process. And usually the first test doesn't work perfectly. And it helps you figure out what you need to do better. So after you test, it's a chance to go back or go to step 5, which is redesign, and fix the things that didn't work, make it better, or even rethink the design altogether if you see that it had a really big problem that couldn't just be fixed with a small change. And finally, when you get a design that works just right and does everything you want it to do, the last step is to share that idea with others. Engineers love to share their ideas and their experiences, and that way we help each other learn. So that the next engineer that's coming along with a similar problem won't make those same mistakes that we did. We've already told them all about what worked and what didn't, and they can try something new or avoid the mistakes that we made. All right, so now we've got the 6 steps of engineering. We know what steps we need to go through to start to think about this problem. You know what the second thing is we need? You'll be surprised. A song. Right. Now, you might not picture engineers singing at work all the time, but it definitely is a good idea to always have a song. And the engineers I know like to sing. Plus, whenever you put something into a song and you sing it, it helps you remember it. So I wrote a song about the 6 steps of engineering to help us remember it better, and I'm going to show it to you. It's to the tune of I've Been Working on the Railroad. And I have the words on my easel over here, which is probably too far away for you to see. It goes like this. I've been working on a problem all the livelong day. I've been working on a problem and it just won't go away. But I can use engineering to help me get it done. The 6 steps of engineering, follow them one by one. 1, state the problem. 2, make a plan. 3, get materials and build the best you can. 4, test it out. 5, redesign. 6, share with others what makes it so fine. So I'm going to put the words up on my screen for you, and then we'll sing it together. And you can sing as loud as you want because you're at home, right? All right, so sing along with me. I've been working on a problem all the livelong day. I've been working on a problem and it just won't go away. But I can use engineering to help me get it done. 6 steps of engineering, follow them one by one. You ready? Here we go. 1, state the problem. 2, make a plan. 3, get materials and build the best you can. 4, test it out. 5, redesign. 6, share with others what makes it so fine. Got it? Now, are those 6 steps stuck in your head? Is this song going to be stuck in your head for days? Well, that might be a helpful thing, or maybe you'll be not thanking me a few days from now when you keep singing it. All right, I'm going to take this down since we've got those 6 steps embedded in our head. And now I forgot, the last thing we need is to know what materials we have to work with. So here is a list of the things we're going to have to build our bridge to help the Billy Goats. All you need are 4 or 5 pieces of paper, just regular 8.5 by 11 printer paper or construction paper is fine. Tape, you might need scissors, and then you need either 2 boxes that are the same height or 2 piles of books. So they're built up to be about the same height. And then you need 4 small figures of some sort. So maybe you have some small plastic animals or Legos or Playmobil figures, or you have some, maybe you have some plastic rubber ducks from library summer reading games in the past around your house. Those are all things that would work really well. And the heavier they are, the bigger your challenge will be because the bridge will have to hold them up. Okay. So if you would like to pause to gather these materials, go ahead. But I'm going to move forward and show you those materials and how we're going to arrange them. Okay. So we can take, here's my paper. I just have some, very ordinary recycled paper. And I'm going to take one piece and lay it on my surface, my flat surface, to be the river. That's the river going down the middle. And on either side, the boxes or the piles of books are our different hillsides. The rocky hillside where the goat's house is on one side and this nice green grass on the other side. And you want to set them as far apart as your piece of paper is wide. So you want them about 8 inches apart or so. And you lay them just like that. And then here are the figures I'm going to use. I have some plastic animals. I don't have goats. I have a bear and a hippo, very heavy, and a rhinoceros. I picked the heaviest ones I could find. And then I have one of the library ducks, although it doesn't even look like a duck, does it, to be my troll. This nice green one with big yellow ears, very sensitive ears we know the troll has. And the troll is going to go right here in the middle of the river between the two sides. Okay, so we're all set up. We've got our steps. We're remembering it with a song, and our materials are all ready to go. Are you ready to start working through our 6 steps of engineering? Okay, so number 1, state the problem. The problem is that we have to build a bridge, right? From one side to the other. But that's not the whole problem. We have to meet certain conditions with this bridge. So the first one is that the bridge has to reach from one side to the other, and you can't use any tape to hold it down on the edges. It has to be able to sit all by itself and be stable. You can see it's not working very well with just one sheet of paper. So that's the first thing it has to do. And it also has to be strong enough to hold our animals. Oh, obviously, that one isn't going to work. This piece of paper by itself will not make a good bridge. And the third problem that we have to solve is it has to be high enough that it doesn't touch the troll's ears. Can you see how it's resting on his ears right now? And that would not be a good thing. The troll would be mad. So it has to be strong enough and high enough and long enough. That's the problem. Okay. So, number 2, make a plan. It's time to start brainstorming some designs. Well, what are some different ways we can build a bridge using paper? What kinds of shapes could we use? Can we change our paper into different shapes? And what does the shape do to affect the strength? Are some shapes stronger than others? Like, what if I roll the paper into a tube? It feels a lot stronger than a single sheet of paper. Or if I took my 4 sheets of paper and I put them all together in one pile and folded them in half, then it would be like 8 layers of paper, which would probably be stronger than just one. Those are all things we should think about. But as we're thinking about that, how about we look at some actual bridge design shapes to get some ideas. Here are several basic types of bridges. And you can see, here's the beam bridge. This is the very simplest. And that is just like a folded piece of paper. It's just a plank, but it does have legs that go down into the water to hold it up. So that's a thought. You could maybe make this piece of paper stronger by using one of your 4 pieces to build some legs. Something to try. Or what about the arch bridges? Now the arches incorporate some curves. Here we are. You can see this arch is underneath the bridge to make it stronger. And you could probably do that with some paper. Use 1 or 2 sheets to build a curve and tape a folded piece across the top. Or this one that has the arch on the top to help make it stronger and support it. Now let's look at the truss bridge. The truss bridge has these diagonal supports on the top. You may know that the triangle is the strongest shape. Builders like to incorporate triangles and diagonals into their structures because they add a lot of strength and support. So in the truss bridge, we have all of these triangles that are helping make it strong on the top. How could you do that with paper? That's something to think about. But before we leave this page, let me point out down here some very beautiful but more complicated designs. The suspension bridge and the cantilever bridge and the cable stayed bridge. These all involve stretching long cables and balancing the weight that's on one end against what's in the middle. And I'm going to show you an activity at the very end about how you can make a suspension bridge at home, but that's a little more complicated, and I'm not sure that we can do that with just paper and tape. All right, so is your brain humming? Got some good ideas in there? All right, let's think about what are some ways we might make our paper stronger. I only want to inspire you to start thinking about it because there are so many different designs you could come up with, and I'm sure you'll have plenty of great ideas of your own. But one thing we could do, I was thinking about the truss bridge and the triangles. If you fold a piece of paper like in a zigzag, an accordion fold, you have these triangular kind of shapes. Now, if we put that across our river, it does feel kind of sturdy, but it's kind of awkward for an animal to walk across on that. There's not a good place to walk. So you might have to think about how to modify that. Maybe you could tape a flat piece of paper to the top, and then it might squish the folds down. I don't know, you might need something to do on the bottom. And this is where redesign comes into it. You have to try different things, see how they work. But that's an idea, incorporating folded paper. Or I like the roll idea because it's very strong, but can an animal walk across one? It's like having a tree log. Nope, very hard to balance on a round bridge, right? Can you think of a way around that? You do have 4 pieces of paper. What if you rolled all 4 of them and put them next to each other? Is that a way to make it sturdy and walkable? Well, if you would like to pause for a few minutes and work on your design, you might want to sketch out some ideas on a piece of paper or experiment with extra pieces of paper if you have it. And think about what are the good points and bad points of each idea you have, and then pick the one you like the best. Are you ready? All right, if you've picked your favorite design, it's time to move on to step 3, build. So go to town, but remember, only 4 sheets of paper and tape and scissors if you need to cut your paper. Those are the conditions of our bridge building. Now here are a few I built. I tried this one. It's just folded up and taped together, 1 sheet. And I think that's my beam bridge. That's the one I'm going to test. Do you have a design all built and ready for your test? Okay. If you're ready, then you lay it across from one side to the other on your books or boxes. And remember, you can't tape it down or hold it down in any way on the ends. It has to be able to stay by itself. And put it right over top of the troll. So far, mine looks good. It's nice and high, not touching his ears at all. And then move your figures or your animals, whatever you have, over the bridge. Is it strong enough? This is the test. Oh yeah, that one is strong enough. I've got the bear right in the middle and it's way over the troll's head, no problem. So that works. But what if a second billy goat or animal gets on the bridge? Is it strong enough for 2? I think it is. Or what about 3? I don't know, it's starting to bend a little. I might be a little bit worried about going with that design for all three. You might want to make it a little bit stronger, plus a little bit wider. It's really narrow, and if one of my animals lost its balance a little, it could fall right in. Maybe it needs some walls on it, some little railings on the side. That would be an improvement I can make in the redesign. So test out your design and see if it needs any fixing. Probably want to make a few different changes, small changes and improvements. Now, are you ready for number 5, redesign? Did you do that part yet? I'm going to take this idea and make it a little different by adding some edges. I just folded up edges, and that way my animals aren't going to fall off the side. And now I'm going to test again. Still looks good. It's not hitting the troll. Can it hold all 3? Does it stay up? Yeah, I think that works. It's a very simple design, but it seems to solve the problem. So we could go with that. Or I could go back and make it even fancier if I wanted to. What's your design look like? I bet you have some really great ideas. Now, if you would have people in your family that you can tell your ideas to, that would be great. Or friends. Tell them what you did. Tell them all the different ideas you had, what happened when you tried them out, what went wrong, what went right. That's how you share your great ideas as an engineer. Now, if you're all done, I have some other challenges to suggest to you, but remember that you can keep trying with all different, you could make this more difficult for yourself by adding some heavier creatures or weights. You could look around your house to find something even bigger if you wanted to work harder at making your bridge stronger. You could also move the boxes or books further apart and see if you could build a longer bridge. There are a lot of ways that you could keep this activity going if you'd like. But when you're done, if you would like to learn some more about bridge building, I have some resources that I wanted to share with you. First of all, these things come from the PBS website, Building Big. It was once a TV series, and there are DVDs of those episodes, and one particularly on bridges that you can borrow from the library. That's what's pictured here. But you can also go on their website and learn all kinds of great things about bridge building and people who build bridges, like this engineer right here. His name is David Nyarko, and he builds bridges that are movable, drawbridges that have to come up and down, move up and down to allow boats to go through. So that must be an interesting challenge. You can learn more about him on the website. You can learn facts about many famous bridges around the world, and also do some other challenges. One of the ideas that they have on this website is a project for building a suspension bridge, like I mentioned earlier. So this project, here are all the directions. It uses straws and thread and paper clips and some other basic things that you can probably find around the house. It's a little trickier, but see if you could build a bridge that looks like one of our most famous bridges in the world, the Golden Gate in San Francisco. And you'll learn a little more about different ways that engineers can make a bridge strong and long at the same time. And of course, you can always request some books from the library. We have all kinds of really wonderful books related to bridges. Here are a few. Secret Engineer is a biography of a woman who was involved in helping to design the Golden Gate Bridge that many people don't know about. The book Bridges has all kinds of other activities and engineering challenges that you can do at home. Some of these other books include facts about bridge builders and famous bridges, and stories about bridges in history. So check those out. You can request them at hclibrary.org. and then arrange for contactless pickup at whatever is your most convenient branch. Well, I am really glad you could join me today for Fairytale Engineering. It's been great to spend this time with you. I hope you'll check out our website, not only for all those resources, but also for other online classes. And keep an eye out for a future Fairytale Engineering, which will be coming up soon. Thanks again for joining me. I'll see you soon.